After several false starts, Brunel announced the construction of a railway from Bristol to London on the 30th of July 1833. This became the Great Western Railway, and he'd intended it for it to be the best railway in the country. Well, he's not wrong there. The Great Western Railway had originally planned to terminate London services at Euston, as this allowed them to be part of the London and Birmingham's railway tracks into the station, and this would have been cost effective. This received government approval in 1835, but was rejected as a long-term solution by Brunel, as he was concerned it would allow Liverpool to compete as a port with Bristol if the railway from Birmingham was extended. The first station was a temporary terminus of the Great Western Railway on the west side of Bishopsbridge Road, and opened on the 4th of June 1838. The Great Western Railway from London to Taplow near Maidenhead ran from Paddington in 1838. After the main station opened, this became the site of a goods depot. Brunel did not consider that anything less than a grand terminus dedicated to the Great Western Railway would be acceptable, and consequently this was approved in February of 1853. The main station between Bishopsbridge Road and Praed Street was designed by Brunel, who was enthusiastic to the idea of being able to design a railway station himself, although much of the architectural detailing was his associate Matthew Digby Wyatt. He took inspiration from Joseph Paxton's Crystal Palace and Munich Hauptbahnhof. The glazed roof is supported by wrought iron arches with three spans, respectively spanning 68 feet, 102 feet, and 70 feet. The roof is 699 feet long, and the original two spans was two transepts connected by the three spans. It's commonly believed that these were provided by Brunel to accommodate traversers to carry coaches between the tracks within the station. However, recent research using early documents and photographs does not seem to support this belief, and their actual purpose is unknown. The original station used four platforms, 27 feet wide and 24 foot 6 inch wide departure platforms, at 21-foot arrival platform and a 47-foot combined arrival and cab road. The series of 19 turplates was sited beyond the end of the platforms for horse and coach traffic. The first Great Western Railway service from the new station departed on the 16th of January 1854, though the roof had not been finished at this point and there were no arrivals. It was formally opened on the 29th of May, and the older temporary station was demolished the following year. The Great Western Hotel, which was built on Praed Street in front of the station from 1851 to 1854 by Philip Charles Hardwick, son of Philip Hardwick, designer of the Euston Arch, is in a classical and French chateau design. It opened on the 9th of June 1854 and has 103 bedrooms and 15 sitting rooms, each corner containing a tower containing two additional floors beyond the 5 stories of the main block. It was originally run by a consortium of Great Western Railway shareholders and the staff before the company took over operations completely in 1896. The station was subsequently enlarged in 1906 to 1915, and a fourth span of 109 feet was added on the north side, parallel to the others. The new span was built in a similar style to the original 3 spans, but the detailing is different and it has no transepts. The area between the rear of the hotel and the concourse is called the lawn, and it originally unroofed and occupied by sidings, but this was later built up to form part of its station's first concourse. Paddington's capacity doubled to 4 tracks in the 1870s. The quadrupling was completed to Westbourne Park on the 30th of October 1871, Slough in June of 1879, and Maidenhead in September of 1884. An additional platform, later becoming platform number 9, opened in June of 1878, while 2 new departure platforms, later numbers 4 and 5, were added in 1885. One of the lines between what is now platforms 5 and 7 was removed in order that a latter could be moved to a more southerly position. Aside from the June 1878 work, Brunel's original roof structure remained untouched through the improvements. The Great Western Railway began experimenting with electric lighting in the 80, leading to Paddington being decorated with Christmas lights that year. Although the system was unreliable, it spurred the Great Western Railway onto a more ambitious lighting scheme in 1886, in which a 145-volt AC supply could light the terminus, office, goods yard, and Royal Oak and Westbourne Park stations. It was praised for its scale and showing that electricity could compete with gas lighting on the same scale. Paddington became an important milk depot towards the end of the 19th century. A milk dock was built in 1881, and by the 20th century over 3,000 churns were being handed over at the station each day. Other goods such as meat, fish, horses and flowers were also transported through Paddington. Passenger traffic continued to improve well, and in March of 1906 the goods depot at Westbourne Park was moved to Old Oak Common. The main departure platform was extended in 1908 and used for milk and parcels. In 1911 work began on a separate light and empty carriage traffic running from trains from Paddington to Old Oak Common, which involved the rebuilding of Westbourne Park Station. The work was halted because of World War I, but resumed in 1926 to be completed the following year. 3 new platforms were added, platforms 12 in November of 1913, 11 in December of 1915, and platform 10 the following year. The roof was completely restructured between 1922 and 1924, replacing Brunel's original cast iron columns with steel replicas. Unlike the other London terminal, Paddington saw no damage during the World War. Although Victoria and Charing Cross were the main stations for military movement during the war, Paddington was used for some of this traffic. On Armistice Day of 1922, a memorial to the employees of the Great Western Railway who died during the war was unveiled by Viscount Churchill. The bronze memorial depicting a soldier reading a letter was sculpted by Charles Sergeant Jagger and stands on platform 1. The Great Western Railway is the only railway company to continue through the Big Four grouping in 1923. A tube railway for a post office opened in December of 1927 and could cater for 10,000 mailbags every day. Paddington was extended again between 1930 and 1934. Platforms 2 to 11 were extended past the Bishop's Road Bridge to a new parcels depot, which was also built. Suburban service, which had never been considered important at Paddington, were increased as new housing estates in the home counties started being built. Bishop's Road Station was rebuilt, giving an extra 4 platforms to Paddington numbers 13 through 16, and providing a new ticket office and entrance for suburban services next to the bridge. A public address system was introduced in 1936. By this time, around 22,000 parcels a day were being forwarded from Paddington, with the Royal Mail Service processing around 4,500 mail bags and 2,400 parcels bags every day. The station came under attack several times during World War II. On the 17th of April 1941, the departure side of the station was hit by a parachute mine, whilst on the 22nd of March 1944, the roof between platforms 6 and 7 was destroyed by 2 500-pound bombs. Passenger traffic greatly increased through Paddington during the war, partially by the evacuation of the relatively quiet Thames Valley, and because holidaymakers chose to travel west as the large area of the south and east coast were being taken over for military purposes. On the 29th of July 1944, the station was closed for 3 hours because the platforms were saturated with passenger traffic, whilst on the subsequent August bank holiday, crowds were controlled in tight queues along the Eastbourne Terrace by mounted police. Steam traffic began to be replaced in the 1950s. Between 1959 and 1961, suburban services switched to diesel multiple units, whilst the last long regular distance steam train left Paddington on the 11th of June 1965. The track layout was reorganised in 1967, abolishing the distinction between arrival and departure stations, and had been a feature at Paddington since it opened. A new set of sidings were built at south of Royal Oak, and the track curve into Paddington was eased. Services to the Midlands were rerouted via Marylebone during this time. The station concourse was enlarged in 1970, and the ticket office was rebuilt in the same year. By this time, public opinion had turned against the wholesale demolition and redevelopment of stations such as Euston, and consequently the rebuilding work was done with an eye towards preserving Brunel and Wyatt's original station design. Special steam services began to run from Paddington again in the 1980s. In 1982, a bronze statue of Brunel was erected in the station concourse. It was designed by John Doubleday and funded by the Bristol and West Building Society. Between 1988 and 1999, the lawn was reroofed and separate for the concourse by a glass screen wall. It is surrounded by shops and cafes on several levels. As with other major railway Termini Paddington is owned by Network Rail. Train services were privatised in 1966, initially to Great Western Trains and Thames Trains. The former company was renamed to First Great Western in 1998 and merged with First Great Western Link and Wessex Trains to form the Greater Western franchise in 2006. In 2015, the operating company was renamed Great Western Railway. In the mid-1990s, the Great Western Main Line approaches and platforms were electrified as part of the Heathrow Express project. Opening in 1998, the Airport Rail Link connects the station directly to Heathrow Airport. From 1999 until 2003, express baggage check-in facilities for airline passengers were provided in the lawn. However, these were progressively rebuilt by retail units. The station's fourth span was renovated in 2010, involving repair and restoration of the original glazed roof, so that platforms 9 and 12 could be once again in more daylight. A false ceiling or crash deck had been in place since 1996. Work was completed on the restored roof, unveiled in July of 2011. A second phase of improvements began in July of 2014 and completed 2 years later. Network Rail originally planned to demolish span 4 and build an office block over it, which was successfully contested by Save Britain's Heritage. In the mid-2010s, construction began on an underground station as part of the Crossrail project, located southwest of the main station building. Coinciding with this project, a brand new taxi rank and pick-up point built north of the main station, as well as comprehensive upgrades to Paddington Tube Station. The underground platforms were opened as the Elizabeth Line on 24th of May 2022. The station had previously been criticised by very poor air inside the train's head. However, this was improved with the replacement of diesel in-city 125 trains by bi-mode 800 and 802 trains in the late 2010s. So we'll get started here at God's Gateway with 800 310, working the 1628 Great Western Railway service to Taunton. And as that disappears into the distance, in the background is the arrival of 800 029 and 800 007, terminating with a Great Western Railway service off Newquay. Over on the far side sees the departure of 800 313, working the 1631 Great Western Railway service to Cheltenham Spa. Next up over on the far side we have an S8 tube stock working the Circle Line, going from Hammersmith through to Edgware Road. And going in the opposite direction, another S-Stock series, 21396 and 21395, working a Hammersmith and City Lines train from Barking to Hammersmith. Next up out for departure is 802 004 and 802 007, working the 1635 Great Western Railway service to Plymouth. Next up arriving to terminate with a Great Western Railway service off of Bristol Temple Meads is 802 107. Whilst passing over on the far side is S8 Tube Stock 21422 and 21421 with a Hammersmith and City Line service from Hammersmith to Barking. Going the other way is S8 Tube Stock 21537 and 21538, working a Circle Line service from Edgware Road to Hammersmith. And as that disappears, we see the departure of 387 134 and 387 130, working 1640 Heathrow Express service to Heathrow Terminal 5. Next up over on the far side is S8 Tube Stock 21387 and 21388, with a Hammersmith and City Line service from Barking to Hammersmith. Another S8 Tube Stock sees the arrival of 21555 and 21556, working a Circle Line service from Hammersmith to Edgware Road. Arriving to terminate with a Heathrow Express service off Heathrow Terminal 5 is 387 131 and 387 132. Next out for departure is 800 022 and 800 003. Working the 1648 Great Western Railway service to Swansea. Another S8 Tube Stock departing on the far side is 21506 and 21505, with a Circle Line service from Edgware Road to Hammersmith. And coming in the opposite direction, another S8 Tube Stock 21389 and 21390. with a Hammersmith and City Line service from Hammersmith to Barking. Arriving to terminate with a Great Western Railway service off Didcot Parkway is 387 142, 387 159 and 387 149. Departed over on the far side is 387 153 and 387 164 with the 1650 Great Western Railway service to Sidcup Parkway. Arriving to terminate with the Great Western Railway service off of Newbury is 387 147 and 387 166. Terminated over on the far side 15 minutes late with a Great Western Railway service off of Cardiff Central is 800 034. And going in the opposite direction is 387 137 and 387 139. Working 1655 Heathrow Express service to Heathrow Terminal 5. Arriving to terminate with an empty carriage working off Old Oak Depot is 800 018 and 800 016. Another S-Swap dock working on the far side with 21383 and 21384 working the Hammersmith and City Line service from Barking to Hammersmith. And coming in the opposite direction, S-Stock units 21419 and 21420 with a Hammersmith and City Line service from Hammersmith to Barking. Whilst arriving to terminate with a Great Western Railway service of Oxford is 800 017. Whilst going off in the opposite direction is 802 107, working the 1700 Great Western Railway service to Bristol Temple Mead. Next up for departure is 800 006, working the 1658 Great Western Railway service to Great Malvern. Another S-Stock working now with units 21381 and 21382, working the Circle Line service from Edgware Road to Hammersmith. Departing next out of the station is 800 007 and 800 022, working the 1703 Great Western Railway service to Penzance. Whilst arriving to terminate 5 minutes late with a Great Western Railway service off Cheltenham Spa is 802 005. And arriving to terminate behind him with a Heathrow Express service off Heathrow Terminal 5 is 387 135 and 387 136. And arriving over on the far side is S-Dock units 21561 and 21562 with a Circle Line service from Hammersmith to Edgware Road. Next up, terminating with a Great Western Railway service off Bristol Temple Meads is 802 109. Arriving to terminate off of Old Oak Depot is 800 312. And right behind him, terminating with a Great Western Railway service off Swansea, is 800 019 and 800 014. And disappearing off in the background is 387 166 and 387 147 with the 1708 Great Western Railway service to Newbury. Next out two departees 387 131 and 387 132. With the 1710 Heathrow Express service to Heathrow Terminal 5. Whilst arriving in the background is S-Dock units 21395 and 21396. With Hammersmith and City Line service from Hammersmith to Barking. Arriving right behind him is S-Dock units 21537 and 21538 with a Circle Line service from Hammersmith to Edgware Road. Going the other way is S-Dock units 21435 and 21436 with a Hammersmith and City Line service embarking to Hammersmith. Next in arriving to terminate with a Heathrow Express service off Heathrow Terminal 5 is 387133 and 387140. Next out to depart is 800 016 and 800 018 with the 1718 Great Western Railway service to Swansea. Arriving to terminate with a Great Western Railway service off Dinkett Parkway is 387161 and 387154. Whilst departing off in the opposite direction is 387149, 387159 and 387142 with 1720 Great Western Railway service to Dinkett Parkway. Another S-Stop working now with 21357 and 21358, working the Hammersmith and City Line service embarking to Hammersmith. Next up arriving to terminate with a Great Western Railway service off Worcester Falgate Street is 800 321. Next up arriving to terminate with a Great Western Railway service off Newbury is 387143. Departing off in the opposite direction is 387136 and 387135 with 1725 Heathrow Express service to Heathrow Terminal 5. And your final departure of the session is 8:02:109, departing with the 1728 Great Western Railway service to Taunton. Whilst arriving to terminate 22 minutes late with a Great Western Railway service off Paynton, here's your final train of the video, 8:02:111. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed what you saw, click on the 2 videos here at the end screen. Helps out the channel. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you are new and got this far. And we'll see you all in the next video, folks, wherever that may take us. We'll see you then, folks.